Hi everyone, this is Ur. In this video, we will implement a Facebook sign-in feature. Let me show the demo to you. As you can see, we don't have any records in our table. I will go back to my app and click on sign in with Facebook, and it redirects to my Facebook. I will enter my credentials and click login, and hopefully we will authorize the user. I'm logged in. It's perfect. So if I go back to Drizzle ORM and see OAuth account, we have a user, blah, blah, and our session is there. Lucia manages the session, and we have OAuth account information as well. So I can sign out and sign in. This is an easy add-on. Let's jump right into the code. First thing you will need to do is create a Docker container, or you can use your cloud provider and then push your schema.ts into your database. You can do that by writing npx drizzle kit push pg like this. Say yes. And as of our schema, we have a user table and an OAuth account table that will store social providers information. In our case, it will be Facebook, and we will see in a bit. Let's run the project. I check out to OAuth branch, by the way. We will use this as a starting point. It's because we have implemented GitHub and Google. We will add Facebook today. First thing we will need to do is create an app. That's why I will type Facebook developer app, and I will click on the first record. It says Facebook developer apps. Okay, I'm logged in. In this page, I will click on get started. It asks if my email is correct. I will click on confirm email, and I will choose developer here, but I think it doesn't matter. Okay, that's great. Now I have a dashboard. I can see my apps here. I didn't create it yet, so let's click on create app. It says, what do you want your app to do? And we just want to authenticate and request data from users. That's fine. Click next here. Are you building a game? No. Add an app name. Let's make this demo. Business portfolio. That's fine. Okay, so my app has been created. Let's click on go to dashboard. Customize adding Facebook login button. We will use this one, Facebook login, or it says most common use case. As you can see, we have already some permissions here. First one is public profile. Other one is email. So let's add it to. That's great. We have a public profile. I assume it will give us user's first name, etc., or image URL. We will also use email as well. So then I will click on settings here. This seems fine. They expect us to enter a valid OAuth redirect URI. And so let's enter HTTP localhost 3000 API Facebook callback. And then we will say localhost 3000 as allowed domains. They say localhost redirects are allowed while in development mode only and do not need to be added here. That's great. We will remove that. We don't need to do anything, but in production, you must add your URL to there. Okay, it's saved. Why I am seeing a blank page, I'm not sure. I have refreshed. I will go to app settings here, and you see that I have an app ID and app secret. I will go to my env file. As you may remember, if we are going to provide a new social provider, we will probably have a client ID and client secret. In our case, you can see our client ID and client secret, and let's add them here. Facebook client ID, and I will copy this and paste it here. And I will do the same thing for app secret. By the time you watch this video, I will remove this app, so that's fine. And you can put your policy, terms of service, etc. Just fill these fields. I will say save changes. It says currently ineligible for submission, but since we are going to just test it in our local host, I think that should be fine. So after having this information inside our env file, we will create a new file to initialize our Facebook client. That's why I will expand this lib folder, go to Lucia, and go to OAuth. We have Google, GitHub, and I will add Facebook a new Facebook. This class comes from Architect. When I hover on it, it expects 3 arguments. One of them client ID, other is client secret, and the last one is redirect URL. I will actually copy this one. Actually, let's copy this. It's because this is an object. Anyway, that's fine. I will make this Facebook client ID and Facebook client secret. And we have a base URL. Let's check it. It's localhost 3000. And I will make this Facebook. So that's great. Now I will go to sign in form. We probably have some buttons. Okay, yeah, here, sign in with GitHub, sign in with Google. I will copy this one, make this sign in with Facebook. Let's copy this function and make this Facebook. And I will change this on click to call on Facebook sign in clicked. And let's check what we have here. First of all, we log Google sign in clicked. Let's make this Facebook. And we have an server action creates Google authorization URL. And in our case, it should be create a Facebook authorization URL. As you can see, we are doing the same thing, but let's paste it here and make this Facebook. And we generate a state, we generate a code verifier. In GitHub, we didn't need to have a code verifier. So let's check if we will need it for Facebook. So instead of google.create authorization URL, I will call Facebook and we will import it from file. Here we have just created this Facebook object. And when I hover on create authorization URL, it expects to have a state and some options. It's optional, by the way, as second parameter. So we don't need to have a code verifier, as you can see. That's why we don't need to have these lines. And also we don't need to create a code verifier like this. As of scopes, we need to find the correct keys. Let's look for it. Facebook developer add scopes. And okay, here all permissions needs to be reviewed except email and public profile. We can just copy this email and public profile. We have already email and we have other scope public profile. So let's go to P here and let me scroll a bit. Yeah, public profile is here. The public profile permission allows an app to read default public profile fields on the user node. That's great. So we have scopes and we have created our authorization URL, right? Everything seems fine. Now I will change this function to create Facebook authorization URL and it will return a URL. We will redirect user into that authorization URL. So let's see if that worked. Now I have a sign in with Facebook button. I'm clicking on it and you can see that I have redirected to my app. So if I click on this button, I will be redirected to localhost 3000/API/OAuth/Facebook. But we don't have this API route yet. But anyway, let's click on it. As you can see, we get a 404 and we have some parameters we will use in a bit. Let's create this file. We will go into app, API, USC. We have already GitHub and Google. So let's copy Google one and make this Facebook. Go into the root.ts. Let's see what we have done it. First of all, we have a Google user interface. Let's get rid of that. We are getting code and state. I will copy this URL and paste it into here so that we will see what we have. We only have the code, I guess. So we don't need the state. We only have the code. That's why we don't need to get the state. I will remove that. We will only get the code field, as you can see, and we don't have code verifier, state. Get rid of that as well, like this. We are calling Google validate authorization code. In our case, it should be Facebook validate authorization code. If I overrun it, it only expects a code, as you can see, and it's a promise. So let's make this await. And we will pass our code here. If I let auto completion, I can see that we are getting an access token and another field for access token expires at. What we should do with this access token is hidden API to fetch user information. As we do it here, you can see we will search for Meta's API. Facebook. I will search for Facebook API. They have Graph API. So let's open this one. And here, let's go to get started. Okay, in reference, I will look for user. Here we have a user reference. And as you can see, to get the user, the requirement is to have an access token, which we have. Other requirement is to have public profile scope permissions, but we have that one as well. And I have an example here, as you can see. So yeah, the host is graph.facebook.com. I will copy this one and paste it here. Let's put HTTPS at the start, and then I will copy the params as well, like this. But we don't have the person ID, so I think it's not readable for us. So let's look at right part of the page. Example, creating. I think it might not be in this page. So let's go to, if you want to learn how to use Graph API, read our guide. Okay. So we have this /me node is a special endpoint that translates to the object ID, blah, blah. That's what we need. I will copy this and paste it here. Instead of access token, we'll pass our access token like this. Since they expect access token as a query param, I don't think we will need to have this headers part. Get rid of that and make this Facebook resolution res. We don't know what it will return. So let's check if we can find it out. Okay, I couldn't find what it returns. Anyway, we will see in a bit. So let's log this Facebook resolution, Facebook res, and let's get rid of this part and also this part as well. Let's actually get the JSON object and log that one like this. That's great. Now I will go to my app, go to sign in, click on sign in with Facebook. It will automatically redirect us to callback page. It's because we have already granted the access to our app. That's why we didn't see a new screen to accept permissions, etc. So we are redirected to sign in page. It's because we don't have a session, as you can see. I have commented that part, but the good thing is we are getting a name and ID currently, but we can pass some parameters, additional parameters to that URL so that we will also get some additional information. I will pass ID fields equals to ID name and email, and I will add picture as well. And now if I go back to my app and click on this button, and we will hopefully see. Okay, so it says malformed access token. It's because I put a question mark here. It should be an ampersand like this. Try it again. That's great. As you can see, we have an ID, name, email, and picture data, which is great. So what we can do is store this data inside our app, right? But I will add email here and picture, give it height, boolean, string, and number. That's just for type safety. It's not necessary. And here I will create a transaction. It's because we will have multiple insert. That's why we need to have a transaction. So I will say const transaction res await db transaction. It gets the transaction object as parameter. I will have a try catch and I will return success false message error message and make this any. And at the end of try block, I will say success true message user logged in successfully, right? And we will make some operations here. And let's uncomment this part. And what we can do is return a data inside transaction as well. Here we will return an ID, probably user's ID. For now, it's empty. And here we can just give not, right? And here we will create a session using the ID. We can use transaction data.id like this. It will say it may be undefined. It's because this transaction may return data null, right? That's why we will need to have a guard condition here. And we can say transaction success is not there. We can just throw an error and it will automatically go into this catch block and return a status 500. That's great. So we know that it won't be a null or undefined, but Typescript doesn't know that. So we can just put transaction res data is not there. You can also throw an error. So the error is gone, as you can see. We will set this state to empty string, which we don't need. It's because Facebook didn't require states or code verifier. So let's get rid of that part. And we can also go back to our actions. And here we set a state. It turns out we don't need that. Let's get rid of this state. Here, that's fine. Let's go back to our route TS. Inside transaction, first we will check if we have a user with that email. We can check it like this. We are querying to user table and we use find first and where clause, which we check if table email is equals to a Facebook data.email that we get from the graph API like this. And if there is no existing user, we will need to create a new user, right? We can say await trx insert user table and values will be it expects an ID. We can use generate ID from Lucia. We will pass number as parameter and email will be Facebook data email. We don't need to pass hash password here and name. We have a name. And also as a profile picture URL, we will pass Facebook data picture URL. And for is email verified, we will say true. It's because we don't require users to verify their email if they log in with a social provider. So that's good. And we will also need to insert this record to our OAuth table, OAuth account table. So let's check what we need to pass. An access token. And as an expires at, we will pass access token expires at. Provider will be Facebook. Provider user ID, we will get it from Facebook data ID. And it asks for a user ID. What we can do is grab this generate ID and assign it to a variable like this. We can pass it both here and here. And as for the ID, it's just a random ID that's storing this record in our database. So everything seems great, no error. And if there is already an existing user, we will just update OAuth account table. Let's say await trx update OAuth table set. Let's write the var class first. We will use end. We can say equal OAuth account table dot email. Okay, we don't have email, but we can use provider user ID and Facebook data ID. And we can also have another condition. That's why we can use end function from Drizzle. And we will pass our first condition, then put a comma, and then we can say the provider is Facebook. That's good. So let's go back to set clouds and we will update our access token and expires that like this. Everything seems fine. So let's try it out. Error. So after our setting our cookies, we just have this lines. We just redirect user to our public base. So let's go sign in with Facebook. Okay. It says insert our update on table session violates foreign key constraint. Where do we create the session? Here. So we are using transaction res data ID. Okay, I left this empty, I guess, right? Let's check. Okay. I think the easiest solution is copying this part and paste it here so that we early return, right? So assign it to inserted user and we can just pass. Oh, actually, it just expects an ID and we can pass a user ID here, which comes from there. So yeah, that seems nice. So let's try it again. I will go to sign in page, click on sign in with Facebook, and I'm logged in. That's great. Let me look at Drizzle Studio. I have a session, I have a user, auth account is there. So let's get rid of all the things here and check the first condition, the condition where we don't have a user account. As you can see, we don't have any. Now I will click on sign in with Facebook. Ta-da! I'm logged in. That's great. My name is there. Is email verified true? Email is there. Session or table. Everything seems perfect. So let's check if I forgot anything. I think we are good. Yeah, it was over. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful to you. As of your request, I made my frame smaller. Is it fine? Or should I make it more smaller? Or even I can hide myself. Let me know what you think. And if you liked the video, you can support me. Yeah, that's all. See you in the next videos. Oh, one thing. If you have any video ideas, just let me know. I will record videos as I have some time. I do freelancing and I build some side projects. That's why I wasn't able to record as many videos as I would like to. I want to focus on YouTube more. And yeah, when I see your comments, it just means a lot to me, actually. I'm very grateful for it. Thank you for that. See you in the next videos. Bye bye.